What is something you witnessed as a child and didn't realize was really messed up until you remembered it many years later? Quick backstory. I was about 5 years old and the year prior my mother had contracted West Nile. Due to severe encephalitis her optic nerves were crushed and she was left blind. One evening I was trying to find my mom so she could tuck me into bed, but she was nowhere to be found. For some reason I had the idea to check outside. I saw her about 2 blocks away standing in the middle of the street without her cane. I was very confused, so I ran inside to get dad. When he came out and ran to her he looked like he was having a really hard time convincing her to come to him. He also yelled at me to go back inside. It wasn't until about 16 or 17 did I realize what had really happened that evening. My mother was attempting to get hit by a car to try to kill herself. She is much happier now and has accepted what life flung at her. She's a very happy woman most days, and I hope one day she will be able to see again. My stepdad strangling my mom. I came out of my room, saw him on top of her with his hands around her throat, and she was turning purple and making noises. I told her to keep it down because she woke me up and went back to bed. I didn't think about it much after that. It didn't hit me until my early 20s that oh shit, my stepdad was in the process of actually trying to murder my mom, and I told her to die quieter. 3 or 4. Lived in Iceland. Had a babysitter. She was nice enough. One day had a bunch of her friends over, like 3 dudes. She said if I stayed in my room all day she would take me to Wendy's or some shit. Probably. I'd do anything for Wendy's. Didn't think much of it. Never saw her again after that day. Find out later from my parents that they got home early one day to find my babysitter in their bed with a bunch of dudes. Straight up gangbang. So yeah, that was interesting to recall when I found out. I guess I was as much a part of this as I was a witness. When I was maybe 8 years old I was in Cub Scouts for a short while. On a camping trip in the middle of the night, one of the adult leaders pulled me and another boy out of our tents to go to the campground showers. I remember being confused since I didn't think I had gotten that dirty, and it was a weird time and place to be taking a shower as it was something I only ever did at home. At the showers I went down to my underwear, but was too shy to take it all off. I think the other boy did the same, but I honestly don't remember what the adult did. Maybe I didn't want to look. As far as I remember, I got back to the tent without much else happening, but I don't know about the other boy. This was in the early 90s, and I didn't think much about this event until like a few years ago. I thought it was perfectly normal for mothers to ignore their kids for weeks at a time. This lasted until my father drove across country in a busted up Toyota he bought when my mother dumped me at her grandparents while she moved to Hawaii with her boyfriend, who was a fan of beating the shit out of her. She tried to reconnect a decade after the fact, but I had since replaced her with my paternal grandmother. When I was in the 5th grade my mother was dating this drug addict. He went on to steal all our savings and left my mother. One day in the winter I stayed home from school. I heard a struggle going on and my mom saying no. When I came out of my room my mom's boyfriend was on top of her with a knife to her throat. They both looked at me and my mom starts yelling telling me to go back to bed. So I do. I called my dad and told him that they were having a fight again and mentioned a knife. My dad got there in record time. Never seen him move so fast. He ended up throwing the boyfriend down the stairs, and I went to my grandma's house for a couple weeks. When I was about 4 I was grocery shopping with my grandpa. I somehow got separated from him and was wandering around lost asking people where my grandpa was. Some guy said your grandpa is outside, I will take you to him. So I follow him outside. He tells me my grandpa is in his truck, so he is opening the door for me to get in. Next thing I know, the guy gets thrown up against his truck. I look over and there is my grandpa strangling the guy. He called him a sick fuck and said if he ever sees him around town again he will kill him. I was that close to putting the lotion on my skin. My 7th grade science teacher was a pedophile. His idea of teaching was to give us a worksheet, turn on a video, and go watch porn of kids our age on his government computer. After both videos were over, he'd come hit on girls and ask them for their numbers and addresses. I knew at the time that that was messed up as hell, but what didn't occur to me until later was how uncool the school's reaction was. This guy's preferences had been well known among students for a long time. Traditionally, each 8th grade class warned each incoming 7th grade class about him so no one ended up in a room alone with him. This had been going on 4 years before the police were finally involved. There is no way that other teachers hadn't heard rumors. They must have known and chosen not to do anything about it. That dude taught for 12 years, and when he was finally arrested, they found hundreds of megabytes of child pornography on his work computer, and more at home. My mom, dad, younger sister and myself, I was probably 6 to 7, my sister being 4 to 5, were driving across a bridge. I saw a lady with her legs hanging off the bridge, just sitting and looking around. Then I saw her jump. I told my parents what I saw. I don't remember what happened after that, but I do remember listening. Don't think they knew I could hear them. To my parents talking later on at home about how they found the lady's body, dead in the river. So I saw someone commit suicide when I was 6. I was a little older when this happened, but still fucked me up. Probably in the middle of high school. My family was on vacation in Cozumel at a 3-star hotel called Cozumelano. The entire vacation was really nice and pleasant. On the last day, we were enjoying the beach on last time when this kid, maybe 11 or 12, comes running in from the water screaming, "I just saw a dead body." This poor kid had fear stricken in his eyes and could hardly move. So the hotel staff hop on a couple jet skis and go out to find this dead body. Now, both my dad and I are thinking that there was a month-old corpse, think, cast away, that was left out to die. Turns out, it was a guy who was snorkeling out past the designated swimming area, and he was hit by a boat. And holy shit, if you've never seen a body mangled by propellers, consider yourself blessed. It still gives me occasional nightmares. Just the exposed bone and blood coming from a limp body is something I wish I could unsee. When I was in the 5th grade, swimming was part of our school curriculum. The teacher always said that, if you forgot your bathing suit, you'd have to swim nude. Haha, whatever, good one, Mr. Austin. Well, one day another kid and I forgot our bathing suits. Mr. Austin fulfilled his promise. This was an outdoor pool, if it makes a difference. This happened in 1979. I must have told my parents, but I don't think they even cared. If this happened today, the teacher would never get out of prison. When I was 7 years old, I witnessed a crazy guy with a gun firing shots out of his window into the street in a crowded part of a suburban neighborhood. It was summertime and there were a lot of people out and about. He only hit one person, who fortunately survived, but it was a scene of mass panic with people running around and gunshots ringing out. I was up close. A friend of my parents grabbed me and took me into a house as shots were fired. I can still remember a bullet hitting a brick wall right behind me. I was at an age where I had clear memories of it, but for some reason did not associate it with being a traumatic event. It was never a big secret or anything, but the first time I actually ever told the story to someone was in college. Describing the situation to a group of people was the first time I actually realized how messed up a situation that was. When I was really young, elementary school, me and my sister got our own cameras. Mine was Looney Tunes themed and said things like "What's up, Doc?" when you push the button to take a picture, and my sister had a Barbie one that said things like "Let's go shopping." We'd had them for a full year before the Barbie camera went missing. My sister didn't know where it was for at least a full summer. We find it again one day in her closet. It was spring. I remember because my walks from the bus stop to the house were pleasant, and it was the first year I was allowed to take the walk by myself. The film for the Barbie camera was processed, and a week later my parents sit me and my sister down for a serious talk. The camera had developed and some of the pictures on it were being called into question. We were explained that the police were going to be at our house the following day to talk to us about them. I was so scared. I remember crying on the bus on the way home. They found various pictures of 2 little girls, from the shoulders down, wearing nothing but underwear. I still have no idea how these pictures were taken. My sister claims she has no idea either, but we ended up telling the police that we had taken them ourselves after they pressured us about it. I wasn't even old enough to wear bras yet and didn't recognize the ones worn in the photos. I was never abused as a child, and as far as I know neither was my sister. Sometimes I think about it, and I can't figure out WTF happened. Where was the camera for so long? Who were the girls in the pictures? Who took the pictures? Did I black something out of my memories? I doubt this. Or is there something my sister isn't telling me? I'm 25 now, but I don't think I'm ever going to get any answers. My dad would often get drunk at home alone and watch porn on VHS in the living room. When mom came home with us kids, we'd find him masturbating unashamedly on the couch. I never understood why my mom got so upset. It wasn't like he was hurting anyone. As a kid, I never understood why they got into big arguments over this, but as an adult, holy shit, that shit fucked me up. I was very young, don't remember the age, but I was leaving a Dollar General store while my dad sat in his truck in the parking lot. I don't remember what I was looking for, but they didn't have it there. Anyway, as I was walking to my dad's truck, some extremely filthy man was sitting in the driver's seat of some beat up rusted out car with a similar looking woman in the passenger seat. He got my attention as I passed with some majorly toothless shit eating grin, while pulling a Furby out from being stuffed into the corner of his windshield and dashboard. He never said anything to me, just sort of motioned to come towards him, while holding the Furby out the window. Thankfully I had been taught endlessly to never talk to or take things from strangers, so I ignored him and kept walking. The saddest and most fucked up part is that in the car's backseat I could see 2 or possibly 3 dirty looking children. I didn't pay much attention to their facial expressions or anything else about them as I was pretty skeeved out by the man. I never said anything to my dad about it once I got back into his truck. I just got in and we left. Hopefully they were not kidnapped children, but that doesn't really make the situation a whole lot better. Even if they were the man's own children, they had to have been in a pretty poor situation. That the daycare worker bringing me to his car during scheduled nap time wasn't taking me on a field trip